Andrea, are
You
we
know,
okay?
I think I've got it under control now.
That was exciting, wasn't it?
It was not on my end.
It was, that's a great feeling, isn't that just? Andrea Holwegner. Now, earlier on the show, if you just missed it, we had Jeff Christie on, Olympic athlete, and we had a little incident. But he was mentioning that you're their team's nutritionist. Does that work amp up this time of year as the Olympics get closer?
You know what? Depending on the nature of the sport, it can. A lot of the work for Olympic athletes is done before,
Probably.
right? So it's really looking at all of that development years before.
And do you find with Olympic athletes, as opposed to regular schmoes like me, are they more disciplined or less disciplined when it comes to food?
It depends on the person,
Seriously?
actually. I see a little bit of both.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, here, this is what we're looking at today. Andrea's here to chat with us about if you've been trying to eat healthy, but you're tired of saying, okay, surely there's something other than brown rice. There's got to be something else I can do. You brought some ideas on alternatives if you need to mix things up a bit. Let's start with the brown rice idea.
Okay, yeah, an old favorite in the health community, of course, is brown rice. And a lot of people say, including my husband, says, I really don't enjoy brown rice. It just doesn't have that flavor I'm really, after.
Yeah.
So what I brought in to show you is quinoa. Often people call it quinoa because they don't know how to maybe pronunciate this stuff.
Yeah.
But quinoa is a whole grain, and it's actually the highest protein grain that you can get. So in a cup of quinoa, which is about the size of my fist, there's about 8 grams of protein, which is much higher than most grains.
So people that say want to have a little bit higher protein at supper time and less carbs, would this be a better choice than rice?
Carbohydrate will still be equivalent, but a nice whole grain, so good fiber, good B vitamins, a little bit more protein, and it has the benefit that it takes half the time to cook as brown rice.
Now, what would you just substitute it in recipes the same as brown rice, or
Absolutely.
what would you use it for typically?
Anything that you do rice with, you can do quinoa with. So, for example, you can do a cold salad with vegetables. Suzanne was saying I do one with vinaigrette and some feta cheese and some veggies, which was an awesome idea. You can also cook quinoa in like a chicken broth or a vegetable broth and give it a little bit of flavor, or just serve it plain.
Suzanne was saying too that Catherine likes this, so even for kids it's a good idea.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Some people say, what about peanut butter? I'm always having peanut butter, like something else. You have an idea?
Well, there's all sorts of nut butters on the market, so if you're kind of getting bored of your standard peanut butter, you may want to consider something like almond butter or cashew nut butter, sunflower seed butter, pumpkin seed butter, and the list goes on.
Are there better ones than better butters?
You know what?
Because I like to have a better butter.
The better butter. It depends on what you're after. So, for example, if you're after a little bit more calcium, you might choose an almond butter. If you're after a little bit more omega-3 fats, which is that healthy fat for your heart, you may choose a walnut butter.
And what about cashews? I like cashews. Is cashew butter, is there something you say, you know what, that's just a lot of fat, you don't need it as much, or
You know what, nuts and seeds and nut butters are all high in fat, but the good news is that they're high in the good fats for our heart.
Right.
And so, regardless of the kind, they're all really very good for us.
Okay, I get confused by that, though, because people say, oh, it's a good fat. Therefore, can I have an inch-thick sandwich with almond butter on it, or what? Like, do I still have to go easy on it?
Portion sizes are always key.
Yeah.
So, in the case of nuts, I always tell people have a handful. Whatever you can fit in one handful is a good portion.
I can grab a lot.
If you have a big bag of trail mix sitting beside you at work and you're munching, you can pack away 1,000 calories and 60 grams of fat very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And although it's healthy, it's probably not going to do much for your waistline.
All right, fair enough. Another alternative, tell us what we have here.
Well, I brought in some hemp seeds, and sometimes people are worried, is this going to have any sort of marijuana-like properties on my well-being?
Oh, I don't know if they're worried about it. They're certainly interested in it.
They're interested about it, maybe.
Sure.
No active sort of drug-like influence on eating a hemp seed. Hemp seeds, a lot of people will throw ground flax into their yogurts or oatmeals to really boost up their omega-3s, and hemp seeds also are an excellent source of omega-3 fats. So again, decreasing the stickiness of the blood, reducing heart disease, good for your blood pressure. The other benefit of hemp seeds is that 2 tablespoons has about 11 grams of protein, which is unheard of in a seed. Very, very high.
You were surprised by that.
I was even surprised by that.
What would I use that, like when would I want to have that, or what would I use it for?
You know what, I would encourage people to try this out on top of yogurt or their oatmeal or their breakfast cereal. You can toss that into a smoothie. And again, it would be if you're trying to just get a little bit more protein into your meal. So for example, when I'm eating oatmeal, I only put just a little bit of milk on there, so I'm probably not getting a lot of protein in that meal. So hemp seeds would be a good addition, or stirring in a little bit of the almond butter, maybe some slivered cashews or nuts on top, and now we're talking.
Now we got some serious. Let's just quickly talk about all of these, or not, I should say, almond butter in this, potentially you would want to add a lot of salt to, and that's something we want to be careful about.
We do. You know, I'm attending a SALT conference this afternoon because, you know, the food industry and health professionals, we're all kind of trying to work a little bit more together to get some of those products that we're eating lower in sodium. And the good news is when you buy whole foods like this, there's none in there. So you can control just adding just a little for flavor.
I will try. You're going to stay with us. We're going to talk a little bit later on. And is it true you're going to show us how we can add chocolate to our diet?
I'm going to talk about chocolate. I am the Chocoholic Dietitian, so you just wait.
Wait for it.